What's up, Fantasy Kingdom? Welcome back to the Fantasy Kings podcast. I'm your host, The Peez, joined with my co-host, Carlito. Carlito, say what up.
What's up, everybody? What's up, my man, Peez? How are you?
Doing great, man. How about yourself?
Doing great. Happy to be here. Get excited about today.
Hell yeah. Well, what we're doing today is we're going to continue our discussion on the ECR rankings. That's those expert consensus rankings that we have out there. And today, we're going to be going over the top 12 tight ends. And yeah, it should be a good discussion.
Absolutely. No surprises. Why don't you jump off your golden boy?
Sounds good. Hey, everyone knows who the number one tight end is. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. It's Travis Kelce. He's number one across the board. He's finished in the top two the last 5 years, which is just ridiculous. And I see no reason for that to stop this year, and neither do the experts. In an auction league, I see him going for 25% of the budget at least, maybe even higher. But if you want Kelce, you got to at least budget 25%.
If you got high hopes, you're definitely going to be paying for it. 25%, 20%, 30%. If you get anything less than 25%, I think you get a steal.
Absolutely.
But overall, I think you're right. I'll go with the number two guy is Mark Andrews. Flying offense of the Ravens. Honestly, he's a stud. He's a target monster. He gets literally all the work. I'm a fan. I think he'll do better this year because he didn't really get the touchdowns from last year. But
Lamar missed a lot of time.
That's true. But I'm comfortable with him. You know, I think really a couple of tight ends could be max, 20 to 25%. I think him's going to be really between 15 to 20% tops.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good number for him. Is in the 20% ballpark. Which brings us to number three, which is T.J. Hawkinson, who's a guy that put up a lot of huge games last year. I think he had 3 finishes as the tight end one each week. One was like a 44-point monster. And he had a couple duds, but overall, I like his ranking right now as the ECR 3. I think he's got a good chance of meeting that. The Minnesota Vikings have a really good offense. They've got Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins underrated, especially when you consider fantasy points. So I see him also going in that 18 to 20% range.
Yeah, he's good. He's on a good offense that's definitely going to be looking to the tight end towards that end zone. So,
especially on 4th and 8, they'll throw a little dumper to him.
Hilarious. Next guy, I'm going to go ahead and start with some Kittles and Bits. Stomp in there. He's good at the number 4 spot. I'm a fan. He's part of a solid team, top to bottom, right? I think as much shares as you can get off of a Kyle Shanahan offense, I think that you want to be a part of that. I think maybe a couple years ago he had a little bit more buzz. I thought people thought he could overtake Kelce, which that wasn't going to happen. I thought it could happen, but I kind of didn't also at the same time. I could see this guy going for maybe about 20% tops. I think I'm comfortable between like the 15 to 18% personally for me.
Yeah, for Kittle, that sounds about right. I have to agree with you there. So moving to number 5, we got Kyle Pitts, who is an athletic freak, but he has been a less than stellar fantasy option.
A little underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're all, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Russell Wilson, where like let Russ cook. It's like let Pitts cook kind of thing, because he doesn't get enough red zone targets. Everybody knows that, and we don't know why.
The buzz was there, the results were not.
He's still, don't get me wrong, he's had 2 pretty solid seasons. It's just his touchdown numbers are so depressed. It's like, well, that's got to go up, and it's like, well, we're on the 3rd year now. Is it going to happen? So, but anyway, he's at number 5. I would see him. He's the guy that I'd be comfortable with him at around 15%, but I probably wouldn't go 16. Like, that's where I see him, just because of all that for me.
I think that's a fair assessment. Same thing with the guy right after I'm about to name drop is Goddard from
Dallas Goddard?
From the Philadelphia Eagles. I feel comfortable max, around 15% for him. But I like him more than the name that you just dropped, just because, one, he's part of a better team, better offense. They're going to throw up points. They're going to put up, anywhere from 28 points to 35 points a game, easily. I think it's going to be a little bit boomer bust, a little bit guesstimating whether it's going to be his game or not, but I think he'll be a little consistent. So I'm comfortable spending about 15%. If I can get lower than that, I'm going to try to do so.
Yeah, in my rankings, I have Pitts and Goddard pretty close. I mean, again, this is based off of the ECR. the expert consensus ranking. So it's one of those, like, in my opinion, after Kelsey's the top tier, and then 2 through 6 is the next tier, right?
Yeah, I think Kelsey's
so they're almost
zone,
interchangeable. Yeah,
a couple tiers, and then it kind of falls off. But
all right, so number 7, we've got Darren Waller, recently traded to the New York Giants from the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think it's one of those things where you got to factor in the injury because he's been hurt. He's missed so many games the last couple of years that it's hard to really trust him. But when he's on the field, he's like almost as good as Travis Kelce. He's put up monster numbers when he's playing, but the problem is he hasn't. I think he played like 4 games last year, which was disastrous because he was the third tight end going. So for me on Waller, I'm looking. I mean, I might take a flyer at him around 12-13%, but I wouldn't feel great about it.
I agree. I think if he's on and he's healthy, I think you're going to be fine because just who are they going to throw to in New York? Who's going to be the main guy?
Yeah.
After him, I'm going to go with at number 8, Pat Freiermuth. I think that's well-deserved there. I think he's, a target monster, at least when he's on like certain drives, where they're just going to target him straight. For this guy, I think once you get, in the bottom half of the top 10 or top 12, if you will, I mean, I really am not looking to spend more than 12%. And that's just hoping that I get him at 10%, of my overall budget. That's either between 200 and 300, but knowing that bidding sometimes doesn't work out. So yeah. I think he's a solid guy at number 8.
I think he's solid as well. For me, honestly, after the top 7, after Waller, there's another kind of gap for me. And I probably wouldn't spend, honestly, more than like 5%.
Right.
That's just a personal preference. So number 9, we've got Evan Ingram, who had a great year last year. But, he's another guy that I'm spending around 5-6% on. Not much. Just because, yeah, he had a good year. He is a good player. But I think the Jacksonville offense is going to be highly dynamic with Calvin Ridley coming in, Trevor Lawrence a year more into the system, and he could have a fine year, but I'm not willing to spend too many resources to get that because it's going to be a hit and missing in my opinion.
Yeah, you got to account for that, and I'll just account for 10% at the number 10 spot. That's max that I'm willing to pay. I like to keep it simple-minded. 10%, 10. David Njoku, he's part of the Cleveland Browns. He got paid. He's talented. He's athletic. He's big. Is he going to get the target share? I mean, I hope so. I think comfortably, people could spend between 5 to 10%, but no way would I spend more than 10% on him. But I think the skill set is there.
Yep, and I agree. It's just one of those things. Is Deshaun Watson going to be back? Right. If he can get back to form, despite what you might think of him personally, if he's back to form, he's supported top tight ends for fantasy before.
Right.
Which brings us to number 11, which is Okonkwo. Now, for me at this point, I'm not spending any more than $1 or $2, regardless, whether that's, 1%, 2%, whatever it is. I'm not going over $1 or $2 for Okonkwo. And that's not a shot at him. It's just if I'm going to wait that long on tight end, I'm not going to, I'm going to go get a couple guys instead of just one.
Yeah, you probably already spent most of your budget. Most of your wad has already been blown. And I will, go with the final spot of Dalton Schultz. I think I'm around the same mindset as you. I think max 5%, but really, I'm looking to spend a few bucks at most. I just think that,
like, if I'm really hurting, I'll go like $3 or $4. If I'm like, man, I really need a tight end for Okonkwo or Schultz or anyone below that, I'm like, all right, let me try to get one, and then I can kind of like play the matchups, but I'm not looking to do that with a lot of money.
Right. And I think for like my strategy, and I brought this up in a previous episode, I think if you're not within a certain top tier of these tight ends, I like to just kind of grab a couple at a cheap price, and then I'll just alternate and play the matches.
And watch the waiver wire.
And I think that's a perfect guy that you can do that. So
yep.
I think anyone that's going to be after 10, logically, a couple bucks, $1, I think that's fine. See if you can grab 1 or 2, and then just hope that one of them you just threw a dart and it stuck.
Yep. All right, so that is going to bring us to the end of our tight end episode. Collin, what do you think? Any final thoughts on that?
No, I think it's great. I think this is a key position. I think that sometimes you have to put it in your plan, whether you're going to go directly for a top tier tight end or whether you're just going to say, hey, I'm going to go for those late round flyers.
Yeah, I agree, because tight end is one of those solo positions like kicker, defense, and quarterback where you just get to play one. So it is a hit or miss position.
Right.
So navigating that properly is what you
Toughest
need to do.
position every year.
Yep. All right, so that's going to wrap us up. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the Fantasy Kings podcast. And remember, when you play fantasy,
Play for the crown.
all right, thank you. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Fantasy Football Kings. You can always reach out to us on Twitter at FFB_Kings or like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're available wherever you get podcasts, so don't forget to download, subscribe, review, and rate 5 stars.